Everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome in to another episode of the Triple Play Fantasy Baseball Show, a proud member of Underdog and the Underdog Fantasy family. And if you sign up on Underdog right now, they've got fantasy football drafts in full swing. You can use promo code TRIPLE and they'll deposit match you up to $100 just with that code TRIPLE. Again, any draft over on Underdog, use that code. You'll get some free money. It's a win-win for everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Tonight, we got a fun one. We got our Week 11 sleepers. We got some waiver wire pickups, ads, and drops. All the good stuff you guys know every single week we bring you here at Triple Play Fantasy. And I'm joined by my guys, Marty Tallman and Mr. 60 Minutes, Little Cheesecake, the LC. LC, how's it going?
Good. It's going great, man. Had having a good week. Had a good fab sesh yesterday. Put a lot of work in on my teams, hoping to turn some things in the right direction. So I'm feeling good. I'm not buried anywhere, but I got to climb still. So no time to start but the present.
Now, did you buy a lottery ticket yesterday after your 1-point win in our home league?
I didn't. I probably should have. That was a pretty awesome win. We were down to the end. The only player left that was available was Jose Alvarado. And if Alvarado got 5 points, we tied. 6 points, we win. He got 4 points. And I squeaked out a victory. Squeaked out against the unluckiest head-to-head player in league history. He's in last place and has more points than me.
He has more points than me, and I'm in first place.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. That fantasy baseball is a fickle game. Marty Tallman in the house tonight. What's going on, man?
Well, first off, D. Mendy, it's great to see you. Welcome back after a long hiatus. But I'm doing excellent. Speaking about how fantasy baseball is fickle, it's also a full-time job. And I was on Facebook, and I got one of those, on this day messages. And it was on this day 12 years ago. I put on my Facebook status, fantasy baseball is a full-time job. I read that this morning. I'm like, my God, it still is. So, but yeah, so great to have you back. Great to be here. And we got a lot along the season's nowhere near done. We got to keep going.
Great to be back. I love, talking fantasy baseball with you guys. And it's definitely, even when I've been gone, I've been listening to the podcast, and you guys have been doing a great job. So I'm just going to try to make sure I don't mess up your mojo and slide into talk some great fantasy baseball topics tonight. So without further ado, let's dive in and start talking about some of these guys. So I know you guys were bringing back the WOW, talking about players that have been standing out over the last week. Could be for good or for bad. And I thought we should start off with a couple of the Nationals pitchers here that, Marty, you were bringing up in our DMs, talking about, hey, a lot of these Nationals pitchers, they're ranked in the top 10 in pitching right now. What should we expect from these guys going forward? And I think most of the Nationals pitchers are probably on the waiver wire right now, and people are looking to stream them in the right matchup. So, Marty, I want to give you the floor. I know you listed a few Nationals pitchers. Is there one you would like to start with?
Well, yeah, just overall, and I was looking at stats, team stats, and I noticed Washington is 8th overall in earned runs against. So it got me to thinking. I'm like, well, I know Patrick Corbin's on that team who routinely has a 6 ERA. So there's got to be someone or a few guys on that team that's keeping that ERA low outside of just Mackenzie Gore. So yeah, Jake Irvin, Trevor Williams, and Mitchell Parker. I'll start with Jake. I'll start with Irvin. So here's the good. He limits walks, 4.4 walk percentage. Currently has a 4.12 xERA and a 1.03 whip. So he's keeping hitters off the he's getting limiting runners on the bases, and he's pitched at least 5 innings in 11 of his 12 starts. So the further the season goes, we kind of get a little bit nervous here. We're seeing pitchers not pitch as long. He's the least in a quality starts league. It's possible, he gives you a decent chance to get there. So yeah, he's pitched at least 5 innings in 11 of his last 12 starts, and he's only given up more than 3 runs in an outing only once to the Dodgers and the Phillies. Everybody else has been 3 or 2 or 1 run. So Jake Irvin's been pretty good, but then you look at the bad. Just a league average K rate, 21.8. He's consistently giving up hard contact when he does, and a lot of it is against lefties. So I think right now he's a 15 team must add just to have on your bench, probably as a pitcher that you're going to pitch in good matchups, and preferably in a matchup with not a lot of lefties in it, because he struggles mightily there, and he has an XBA of 263 against him. So there's hard contact. He's not striking out a lot of people, but because he's able to limit walks so well, and he has some longevity in most of his starts, I think he's 15 team viable.
I agree. I think, he's running a little lucky on the home runs per 9, and he's running a little lucky on the BABIP right now, but it's not like insanely lucky. He's a little bit above average on both. So I think that's going to come back to earth, but it's coming back to earth from a pretty good. He's a good place. He's running a 3.39 ERA, but his xERA is only 3.63. That's really respectable. I looked in his pitches to try and see what he's doing. He pounds the zone. He just pounds the zone. He throws it a little bit. He throws it a little bit above average. Every one of his pitches, he throws them pretty hard, pound the zone, and he's getting outs. I think there's going to be some blow-ups. I think he's going to have some of those unlucky days that he hasn't had yet. But I agree with Marty. He's a team streamer. And yeah, I would roster him if he was available in one of my leagues, especially 15 team. In 12s, he might be on and off the waiver wire for me in the 12.
I think I'm with you guys. I'm not probably touching him in anything outside 15 team leagues. He's in the bottom 5% in max EV to go along with a 90.6% max or just regular exit velocity. So you have a guy that's giving up a ton of hard contact. He's got a sub 22% K rate, and his expected ERA is nearly a run higher than his actual ERA. You go into his pitch by pitch, he throws 6 pitches. All of them but one have an expected batting average higher than what is the current batting average against right now. So when you have the combination of a guy that doesn't strike many people out, but also is giving up a ton of hard contact, to me, it's like a ticking time bomb. And that's not somebody, if it's any type of league, like where you're clear about your ratios, so any type of roto league, I'm even a little wary of saying I'm going to pick him in certain matchups, because we just saw Chris Sale the other day go up against the Oakland A's and give up, what was it, 5 or 6 earned runs, whatever it was. I know he blew up in that start. So you might think he's safe for one outing, and then he's not. I think, to me, I'm probably going to leave him on the waiver wire, but that's just me. When I see that type of information in his profile, to me, it's more of a ticking time bomb that I probably am going to stay away from.
Where did you see his expected ERA?
I'm on Baseball Savant right now. It's 4.12.
Yeah. I have him. On Pitcher List is 3.63 as an expected ERA. So there's a different calculation between the two websites, apparently.
I DM Nick about that, just asking. He didn't give away the secret sauce, but he let me know there's a couple different factors in it. So
that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, because that's a huge gap. So
yeah,
I would love to know kind of what goes into that. And looking at so we're going to talk about the other Nationals pitchers here in a moment, but looking at Nationals Park. So since 2022, it has a 102 park factor, so it's favorably for hitters. And specifically looking at home runs, it's 100. It's a 105 park factor. So that's not, you don't want to hear that for to your point, D-Mendy, a guy giving up hard contact and consistently pitching in the zone, like you were saying, Art. He's not pitching in the right park to do that. It's the 6th best hitting park over the last 2 years.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think if you're going to try to stream him, at this point, I think we all agree you have to be very cautious. Whether you want to take the chance is obviously going to be up to you.
And probably against a team with not a lot of lefties.
Yeah.
If
I'm interested to hear you guys talk about, he's not on the list, but he is a Nationals pitcher, Mackenzie Gore. If for those that did not see his start today, it did not go well. He blew up against the Washington Nationals. He gave up 6 earned runs in just over 4 innings with only 2 strikeouts, brought his ERA to now over 3 on the season. Was Mackenzie Gore to you guys a sell high before this start? Because to me, I personally was not in on him and what I was seeing, and this start kind of looked like he kind of came crashing down to earth. Do you guys have any thoughts on Mackenzie Gore? If he's on someone else's team, are you trying to buy low? If you have him, are you worried? What are your guys' thoughts on Mackenzie Gore?
Yeah, so looking at the start today, you were saying was against the Mets. Yeah, he gave up 6 earned, 7 hits, 4 walks, so and only 2 strikeouts. So absolutely brutal day. But before that, I mean, how many innings? So 63 innings. He's got 74 strikeouts. That's good for a 29.1 K percentage. I absolutely love that. But a 1.37 whip. So
Yeah, he's giving up a lot of hits. He's getting BABIP to death right now. He's at a 29-7 K minus walk rate. I'm holding on to that. This could be a situation where you hold on to him because his Ks are too good and the results of the ERA have been really good. But the BABIP could kill you some games, and that's what's happened to him. I like him. I think this is his breakout year. This year has been really good. He's shown a bunch of good starts with a lot of strikeouts. He's going to have some down games. I don't think he's a sell high. I think he's a hold.
So if you're in a league right now with him, this is your perfect spot where you're going to go try to acquire him.
Well, do you think he's going to be reduced value because of his last start?
I think fantasy baseball is so reactionary that people could see this blow up start and be like, oh, he's reverting back to the Mackenzie Gore he's been his entire career.
Could be.
And again, maybe that's right or wrong, but I think if you're in Art's position and you do believe that this is the breakout, this is probably as good a chance to buy low as you're probably going to get, because if Mackenzie Gore goes out there and balls out his next start, then his value is going back up. So I think a guy that's going under 5 innings, gives up 6 earned runs against the Mets, that has a history of a bad track record, and that maybe you get that manager that's panicking, is like, maybe I should have sold, maybe I shouldn't have tried to think that he's a different pitcher. So I think that would be a good spot if you do believe in the Mackenzie Gore breakout.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as of right now, I believe in everything that I'm seeing. A 3.51 xERA, 29.1 K percentage, like I talked about. He's only 25 years old, and he pitched 136 innings last year. So I'm not worried about innings cap. He can go 150, he can go 160. So I don't think they're going to be shutting him down like we would have been worried about earlier in his career. The problem has always been the home runs, and I just talked about the where he pitches. So I don't know how he's going to be able to keep out of that, but I think for what we thought he was this time last year, if you were in a keeper league or a dynasty league, you gotta love what you're getting out of him right now, and I would hold him.
So if you have him, hold him. If he's on someone else's team, maybe float an offer to see if you can get him if someone's panicking on Mackenzie Gore. LC, is there? I know we put 3 Nationals pitchers. Maybe we'll do one more so we can get to some other teams.
We can go pretty quick. Trevor Williams is one who I talked about on this show a few weeks ago as like, don't make me talk about this guy. And I still feel don't make me talk about this guy. I don't know what he's doing. He has an 89 mile per hour fastball that is producing really elite results. And I really think that the only thing I can see is he throws from a kind of weird arm angle. His secondary pitches are never in the zone. He has some of the lowest zone percentages on his secondary pitches, the slider and the changeup. And he throws the 4-seam and the sinker in the zone. He throws them slow, and he's getting great results. And I can't figure out why. But he's at a 2.22 ERA right now, and 21% K rate. He's not even like, he has like an 8% walk rate. He's not even like Irvin keeping the walks down at an elite percentage. So I don't know what to do. I think Williams is someone who, I think he's the Vargas rule, the pitcher who's, you just hold on to him because you can't tell why he's doing it, but once he stops doing it, you drop him. Yeah. Anyone? Do you guys have anything else to say about Trevor Williams?
I mean, I never thought I would even be commenting on him, but I mean, 56 innings pitched, a 1.08 WHIP, a 3.19 xERA, and hitters have a 228 expected batting average against them. He's limiting barrels, and in 2018 he did pitch 170 innings to a 3.11 ERA. So it's not like he's never done anything like this before. LC touched on the K percentage. It's average at best at 21%. and with this goes with everybody. The wins are going to be tough, obviously, with the Nationals. So with Williams, I think he's a streamer and a good matchup. And lastly, I want to just touch on Mitchell Park, the 24-year-old lefty who's been great so far. A 3.46 xERA over his 50 innings pitched, a 1.14 WHIP, a 5.9 walk percentage, and he's getting nearly 48% ground balls. So he's doing everything you want to see a young pitcher do. And he's pitched at least 5 innings in 8 of his 9 starts. So the longevity's there. He's pitching around contact. The only problem is, and I think this is going to be similar to Jake Irvin, I think he's getting a little bit lucky. A 242 XBA against them, and he's just like the rest of these guys. I don't know why. All of them have a 21% strikeout rate, 21% strikeout rate. Every single one of them. That's weird. I don't know what's going on there. But if you picked up Mitchell Parker early, I mean, you got to love what you're getting out of him.
I think Parker could have a higher K rate. I think he could have a higher K rate in him. His splitter and his curve both produce high O swings. The splitter especially has a 40% whiff rate. So if he can get to that splitter more often in strikeout situations, I think he might be able to get a few more Ks. So I got hopes. Of course, I have Parker in a few of my teams, so there's that.
I want to go back to Trevor Williams for a second. I think one of the reasons why he might be quote unquote breaking out, you look just at his pitch distribution, and he started debuting a sweeper a little bit last year, only about 2% of the time, 2.8 of the time, and had a 28% rate, which was the highest of any pitch that he threw. That 2.8% now is to 20%, which is the second highest amount that he's thrown a pitch this year. Only four-seamer he throws more. And that 20% sweeper is a 46% whiff percentage. So you have a pitch that he's throwing 20% of it with a 46% whiff rate on a guy that has 21% K rate. Actually very interesting to me. It's a very tangible thing that looks like he's having a lot more success. Because if you go across his numbers, a lot of his numbers are the same, like the exit velocities, the expected stats, like a lot of it is similar to years past, but it seems like him throwing a sweeper to this effect is really what's causing the low ERA right now. And his expected ERA is, even though it's higher, it's still a low 3. So I actually kind of like that.
He never throws that in the zone, though. I wonder if they're just going to stop swinging at it, or if he disguises it really well and it looks like a fastball coming out of his hand. I don't know that much, but like it's never in the zone. Like if you look, it's got in the 7th percentile in zone percentage. He throws it 25% of the time in the zone. I was like, when are they going to stop swinging at this sweeper? It's never in the zone.
You look at the heat map on it, it's like all like below the plate. Like it is crazy, like how just low and inside to lefties or inside to righties it goes. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, or maybe they will look at that. But like you said, maybe the reason is because it looks like a fastball coming out of his hand.
Yeah, that's probably he's probably disguising it well. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's talk about a different team and another pitcher. And let's talk about Ben Brown, who was on the cover of the show, if you haven't seen the thumbnail. Ben Brown was the most added pitcher in ESPN leagues outside of Mackenzie Gore and Gavin Stone. But he was very tantalizing. I spent $147 in fab on him this past week in TGFBI, and I felt like he was worth it based on Marty was talking about before the show. His K rate was above 30% right now, and even in a bad outing yesterday, he still struck out, I believe 5 or 6. And after his 3-run first inning kind of settled in, Elsie, you're the Cubs fan on the show, so you see him as much as anybody. Is Ben Brown for real? Is he somebody that if he's on your waiver wire and you need to spend fab on him, or any way, shape, or form you can acquire him, are you trying to do that?
Absolutely. I think Ben Brown has potential to be, a breakout season, like a big ad. He's got a great K percentage, and he's got a pretty low walk rate as well to go with it. He's a 2-pitch pitcher that, that used to be a bad thing to say about somebody. More and more, if one of those pitches is just crazy elite, like Christian Javier a few years ago, or like Spencer Strider, and I'm not, if one of those is crazy elite, you can get away with being primarily a 2-pitch pitcher. And Ben Brown's knuckle curve is crazy elite. And so the fastball he throws 63% of the time, he throws the fastball as much as anybody in baseball throws their fastball. But he's setting up the knuckle curve, which has an elite swing strike rate, an elite whiff rate. It's what's getting him all these Ks, which is why he has like a 10 point something K per 9, and striking out nearly 30%. I think he's earning the stats he's putting up, and I would expect him. Let's see, Marty, what he pitched last year? Do you have that?
Well, yeah. So looking at his AAA numbers, 72 innings pitched to a 5.33 ERA. So he was walking 6.3 percent, 6.3 walks per 9 to his 12 strikeouts. So his biggest problem coming into the majors was command. We see that actually a lot, guys with this good of strikeout stuff. You know, they kind of move it in and out, and they try to do the Blake Snell thing where they may throw 60 pitches, but they might have, you know, in 3 innings, but they're going to have 6-7 Ks. And let me ask you this. We're going to start here. I'm going to look at the rest of season projections. And this is from, let's do Steamer. Let's do Steamer. Steamer has him for 72 innings the rest of the season. Do you think he's going to have a higher or lower expected ERA? And Steamer has him for a 3.77 from here on out. Do you think it's going to be higher than a 3.77 or lower rest of season?
Oh gosh, I want to be conservative. I think 3.77. I would go lower than that. I'm not going to say it's a lot lower, but I would say it's lower. 3.5 to 3.7, let's say.
Because I'm looking at his baseball savant expected or xERA 4.2. So he's got a 4.20 xERA right now. So he's looking to improve moving into the summer. Are we worried at all? Because I'm looking. I mean, the only time he's had high home run rates is in A+ ball and AAA. Other than that, he's been pretty conservative. Are you afraid of all? You know, are you scared at all about the weather changing and Wrigley blowing out the rest of the season here?
It's like that for everybody. But with his strikeout stuff, you know, there's just going to be games where he's unhittable. You know, he's pumping the fastball for strikes, and the knuckle curve's coming in, and he strikes out 10, and the wind blowing out. You know, it doesn't matter. He's shown good command this season. You know, he's not elite. He's got almost a 9% walk rate, but you know, he's able to cover that up with that nearly 30% K rate.
Yeah, I mean he's turned his walk rate. I mean he's from last year. He's cut it in half, so that's good. 67.1% of runners left on base. So a little bit of luck there.
No, that's below average. He could get better.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
70.
Oh, sorry, it was 72%. I was looking at the wrong one. So that's about league average, right?
That's about average. Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty much still right on. All right,
yeah,
that's good there. What do you think, D-Mendy?
I like Ben Brown.
You spent how much on him?
I did read they 147.
Woo, you do
like
backup bid on him.
Was a backup bid?
That's a really good question. It was not like crazy higher, but I outbid him probably I think by like 60. Let me double check.
You need the pitching. You gotta spend the dough.
That's what I'm saying. So I'll give you the exact thing right now. So I bid on Ben Brown. My Fab results. I bid $159 on Ben Brown, so not 149, 159. And then God dang it, NFBC. And then Second place was 47, so I actually outbid him by a pretty good amount.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
also had not been spending a lot of fab so far this year. So
I've noticed not
I
a lot
was,
of
I think,
people
the
are
second
spending
highest.
money.
Yeah.
And I found it's harder. I'm finding it very hard to catch up in pitching this season, because pitching has been pretty good across the league. It's hard to find actual difference makers for the staff. A potential difference maker, a Ben Brown, really. The question is he going to remain a starter? How many innings are you going to get out of him? I think that the projections of 70 that's modest, but it's respectable. 70 innings, you could get 90 Ks in that or not, 80 Ks in that amount of time, 85, 90. That's really good. That's a really good addition to your team, and definitely worth $159, I think, even if you could have got him for 48.
It was one of my. I was spending a lot this week. I spent 29 on Gavin Williams. I spent 9 on IKF, and then I spent 11 on Griffin Jacks.
As long as you didn't buy Tucapita Marcano, did you guys hear about him gambling on baseball?
He's lifetime banned.
Oh, yeah,
lifetime ban. I just saw that before the show.
Could have been Otani, man. I want to get real quick before we continue. MP31 had a few questions for us here. Is it time to stash Francisco Alvarez if someone dropped him in my league? I would say if it's a 2-catcher league, I would. If it's not a 2-catcher league, I don't think I would. That's my person. What do you guys think?
I mean, if he really is hoping that he can return to his barrel rate of, what he did in like 2022, 2023, so far he's been absolutely brutal. The bat speed's there, but I mean, that's really about it. He's striking out a bunch. He's 22 years old, so you can't give up on it. It's crazy to think he came up when he was 19 years old. That was a pretty they moved him up pretty quickly. I think he's fine for a stash in a 2-catcher league, larger league. Or if you're just hoping he can hit you some home runs.
Yeah, definitely not in a 1-catcher league. And so he just played his first game. It's a thumb injury. The power might come back slowly, but catcher is not as good as I was hoping it was going to be. I think he's a good stash.
Okay. His next question then is, can you rank the following hitters? Jock Peterson, Ryan O'Hearn, Miguel Andujar, and Mark Vientos.
Well,
is Marky V number 1?
Well, how has Ryan O'Hearn cooled down? It's been a while since I've checked in on him. I like Andujar. I think Andujar was someone who I targeted in some of my leagues this past weekend. I think that he's going to hit third in the Oakland lineup. And if you remember our old buddy Britton's show for Triple Play, 3 is a magic number. There's not that many top 3 hitters showing up on the waiver wire. Miguel Andujar is one, and I think he's a good pickup. O'Hearn has cooled off considerably. What do you guys?
I'm always worried about. I'm worried about playing time with O'Hearn. That's always it. Miguel Andujar. Let's say, okay, so Jock Peterson pick him up this week. He's going against 6 righties this week out of the 7 games. So
he's conditional, yeah.
So that's why I can't put Peterson first. I think on a game-to-game basis, if he's going against a righty, I want Jock in there for sure. But I mean, that's not going to be every single day. So I think Mark Vientos, Andujar, Peterson, O'Hearn.
I concur with that.
That's my order as well.
Yeah.
Mark Vientos.
Better rest of season. Better rest of season, little cheesecake. Vientos or Andujar?
If I was a betting man, I'd probably bet on Andujar just because I'm sure he's going to get the plate appearances, and that Vientos, if he struggles, could be sent back down.
But Vientos ain't struggling right now.
No, he's not. He's not. But I think just if I was saying like 51-49, probably Andujar would be more likely, just because I think he's going to be with the team for the rest of the season.
So it seems like pretty much we both all agree on the top 2, and Marty and I just slightly like Vientos more, and you like Andujar more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very conservative player. I know I don't see any reason why the Mets would mess with Vientos's timeline. So maybe I should.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that, like, I'm learning a lesson as we're talking on the show right now. Like, my thought process, maybe, you know, sometimes you got to talk to yourself. Maybe I need to get more in on these guys that I'm like wishy-washy on, because they're the ones who have the higher ceiling. Vientos definitely has a higher ceiling. So that's what I'll say.
Especially with the Mets struggling so much, they're just going to play the young guy.
Yeah. Better to roster rest of season, Brandon Pfaadt or Charlie Morton?
That's a good question.
Morton
Probably
has not looked good.
Let me see here.
I haven't checked in on Charlie Morton in a dog's age here, so let's see.
I have Morton on one or two of my teams, and he's producing pretty good results, actually.
Yeah,
his whip has come down from last season, where it was up like 1.4 something. That's why I think he was you could get him in like the 200s. I think I'm not sure exactly what his stuff, but I know he's showing, like, he's still getting the strikeouts, and the whip has come down.
Yeah, Brandon Pfaadt's looked excellent. 2.79 xERA over those 73 innings. He has a 1.08 whip, 227 expecting batting average against, 23.7 strikeout percentage to a 4.7 walk percentage. Yeah, so limiting hard contact, 2.79 xERA. That really sticks out to me, and he's getting the strikeouts about 1 per inning. So for me, it's Pfaadt.
Pfaadt over Morton. Yeah,
I
agree. All right, Pfaadt over Morton for that one. And his last question was, is Evan Carter a drop in a 5 outfielder league, no IL spots? That is a yeah. Evan Carter has been I was gonna make a funny reference, but Evan Carter is definitely a drop. He is. I know he has his back problem, so he's on the IL for that right now. But he wasn't producing before that, and he obviously in the playoffs he produced a lot and he looked really good. But that was a small sample size, so there is a lot of technology where pitchers can pick up on where he was struggling and where they think they could attack him. And I think I would need to see him produce when he comes back before I would even think about picking him up again. So I think he's a drop.
I agree.
And are we sure he's even going to have a position when he comes back? You know, right now they got Taveras, Langford, and Garcia in the outfield. He could be just a part-time player when he comes back.
Yeah, I agree. So Evan Carter is a drop. If you guys do have some questions that you want to,
oh, go ahead.
What's up?
I was going to say, breaking news: Kyle Tucker just hit the ball directly off his shin, and he needs to kind of be helped.
No,
he's left.
Come on,
fouling the ball right off his shin. He could not finish the at bat. He left the game, and he used his bat to kind of hobble off. He couldn't put weight on it.
Do you remember when Yelich fouled the ball off his knee and it ended his season in 2020?
I don't want to go there.
2019.
No.
Art's such a pessimist. Jeez.
It did. And it took Yelich years to get right. It took him years.
Holy moly.
Forget me.
Oh. Okay, I got to stop watching.
Why can't we have nice things, guys? Why can't we have nice things?
But no, David, you're going to say to our listeners, more questions.
So if you guys have questions that you want to ask the show, make sure you guys are watching on YouTube and then enter your questions in the live chat, and we're happy to answer your questions during the show if you have questions you need answering. So make sure you hop into the YouTube chat and get those in there. Back to a couple ads that I think we were going to continue on here with. What do you guys think about Albert Suarez for the Baltimore Orioles, who's kind of come on the scene and been much needed because they just lost Tyler Wells and John Means for the season. So they need pitching. I wouldn't say he's been amazing or flashy, but he's been efficient so far. Is Albert Suarez somebody out there in a 12-team league? I think 15s you're picking him up, but maybe like a 12-team league. Are you looking at him?
Yeah, I would pick him up in a 12-team league. 34.1 innings so far, a 0.99 whip. He's got a 3.01 xERA. So his ERA right now is 1.57. So no, the 34-year-old journeyman is not one of the best pitchers in baseball. But He's pitching in an amazing pitcher's park these days with one of the best offensive teams in baseball. So the opportunity for wins are there. They do not care about his innings. They're going to pitch this guy until his arm falls off. It doesn't matter. If he can pitch, he's going. 3.01 xERA. Now, the strikeout percentage is league average. He's doing his best Washington Nationals, 21.3. So it's right 21%, there.
Yeah.
That's like the whole theme. That should have been the theme of today. Who is your favorite 21 strikeout percentage pitcher? I think there's some kind of game there. But yeah, he's doing a good job limiting hard contact, and he's a veteran pitching around hard hitting and a really good lineup and a really good park. It's everything you want when you pick up, he's probably your 5th starter in a 12-team league or your last starter, which is great.
Yeah, Albert Suarez definitely looks like to be a solid pickup across the board. Nothing flashy, but not giving up a ton of hard contact. 21.3 per K percentage is a little bit below average. Walk percentage is pretty decent at 7.4%. Expected ERA just over 3. Throws 4 different pitches that have been getting pretty decent results. It seems like a very solid ad there in Albert Suarez.
And he's an Orioles pitcher. That buy into the staff. But he's gonna his BABIP is 247 right now. 247. So,
man, it's so funny to be on his baseball savant page because you see his pitch mix from 2016, 2017, and then nothing until 2024.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's rare to see
break.
What a dude!
6 years.
What a dude, man! I can't. That takes some cojones to stick with it that long. What a dude!
Yep.
Now I got to ask you as a question. We're talking about some ads. I want to talk about a couple really hard pitchers to judge here. Jordan Montgomery has been absolutely, pardon my French, he's been ass. 0.1 innings pitched with 28 strikeouts this year, a 156 whip. And he just got beaten around to, I believe, was it 8 earned runs the other night? I know because he lost my parlay for me, and I would have won $111.
It was 6.
And he was the one that it was 6. Yeah, so
against the Mets.
6 earned runs.
Mets are hot right now, so.
They are 14.4% K rate, 7.7% walk rate. He's got an expected ERA of 4.72, an XBA of 294, which is, I believe, the bottom 6% of baseball. And he just has been really, really bad. So Jordan Montgomery, we've seen what he's been doing the last couple of years, and he's been a great pitcher for fantasy baseball purposes. Was never getting a crazy amount of strikeouts, but he was being very efficient. This year, he's just been awful. So if you guys have him in a 12-team league, what are you doing with Jordan Montgomery? Because I've heard people talk about potentially dropping him, and the only reason you haven't is because it's his name, Jordan Montgomery. But he is absolutely destroying your team right now.
He wishes he had a 21% K rate. He wishes he had a 21. That would be a 50% increase in his strikeouts right now. He's wishing for that, and he's giving up a ton of hits, and getting BABIP to death. It's bad all over. It's bad all over for Jormont. We played the narrative game, the holdout. He fired Boris after that, which was very telling to me. Like, just get out of here. I don't want to see your stinking face, Boris. Not again. I'm not saying definitively that the tough start to the season, the no spring training is affecting him, but I think, this is not who we've seen over the past 4 seasons. And it wasn't like he was pitching in, an easy to pitch park all the time. He was in New York producing, he was in St. Louis producing, he was in Texas producing, and all of a sudden he forgot how to pitch. So yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah, Jordan Montgomery's puzzling, but over his career, he has 799 innings pitched, and he has a 3.78 ERA. That's who he is. He's a 3.8 ERA with just under a strikeout, probably under a strikeout per inning. So I am, Art, I think you're absolutely right. I'm actually more optimistic about Montgomery because of the fact that he didn't have a ramp up session. He wasn't able to go to spring training. Blake Snell has already talked about it, that has been a huge step back for him. And that's the reason why for his struggles. And even Blake Snell even went as far as to say is that Major League Baseball needs to take a look at this, or teams need to take a look at this, kind of hinting that it's their fault. It's the team's fault that they weren't signed until the end. But that's neither here or there. So I think the not having a standard ramp up time for a 31-year-old veteran who he pitches with feel. He doesn't have the stuff to go in there and just rip it through people. Like, he has to be on his A game in that way of not walking people, limiting hard contact, and everything like that. His xERA is 4.72, which is unrosterable at this point, but it's not that far off from his 3.98 xERA from last year. I think for the rest of the season, I'm holding him in a 15-team league, and I would hold him. I'm holding him in a 12-team league until July. We'll reconnect in July on it. But and last thing I want to say, it's weird that he really switched up his pitch mix as well. He's not throwing the sinker as much, and he's really upped his curveball. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. You would think he'd want to throw pitches that are less harsh on his elbow with not a lot of ramp up time. I don't really know. So again, July. I hold till July, and we'll go from there.
To get in Snell's corner though, there is ways to make the signings more urgent. Like the NBA and the NFL have salary caps, and signings come pretty quick when free agency opens. I mean, Snell's comment's not going to move anything, but if there were a salary cap and a salary floor, signings would happen in a shorter window. So
I agree.
Yeah.
But they also could not be holding out for this crazy contract that they hope they get. I think like people saw Blake Snell last year and they saw all the numbers behind his year, and they saw the highest walk rate to win a Cy Young. They saw the left on base percentages. They knew that he's a ticking time bomb in that regard. So I think they were very cautious with that. So makes sense why he was waiting.
Hear a hint of the hint of madness you have because of Spencer Strider not winning the Cy Young right there. I know that's
just put that in the private chat.
I just put that in the private chat. You could definitely hear it in his voice. Longtime listeners
hate you guys.
Will know.
If Blake Snell could have just done this last year, man, I would have treated you all to. I would have flown you guys all out to New Jersey. It would have given you steak dinners. It would have been great.
Beautiful.
But Blake Snell to ruin us all for all of us here, so that's not good. Another pitcher that we should talk about on the flip side of things here, and I'm surprising LC and Marty with this because this was not on the show sheet, was Jared Jones. And the reason I'm bringing him up is he's actually been dropped in about 12% of ESPN leagues, one of the highest dropped players. And it's not due to injury, just been due to just ineffectiveness. He was I'd say one of the people's biggest mistakes in terms of like, man, I wish I picked him up at the beginning of the year. But outside of his most recent outing, 5 earned runs and 4.1 innings against Detroit, he'd still had quality starts, I believe, in every outing before then. Yeah, he's had a pretty much, maybe not necessarily a quality start, but he hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs in any outing he's had this year before that. I'm kind of curious why there's that many people dropping him. I guess the K rate has been somewhat down a little bit over his last 4 starts. But are people just concerned that the league's catching up to him, that, maybe there's fatigue? I know his velocity dropped in his most recent start, which I know it could be concerning. If you guys are in a league and someone has Jared Jones, are you trying to acquire him, or is he somebody you're kind of hesitant about going forward?
I do have Jared Jones in a handful of leagues, and I'm looking to trade him. One, and you just said it, D-Mendy, the velocity is dropping the more he pitches, which makes sense. You come in and he's every single pitch he's throwing as hard as he can just so he can stay in the majors. So that all makes sense to me. Last year, he pitched around 120 innings. So he's already at 63. And I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, but how long will the Pirates let him pitch? Like, will they let him go the rest of the year, and why not? Or will they kind of start to phase him out? I don't know. I don't know that answer. And with the velocity and the fact that the Pirates aren't going to win that many games, and a couple other factors, I'm looking to trade him. I think he's a good person to. Maybe you combine him with somebody else to go get a second round, third round pick or whatever it is. People need pitching, so I think there's a good market for him. He has struggled out of the last three games, so I think that right now is probably, if he has one more really good outing, then I would try to move him. But to be honest, I've been actively trying to put him in trades for the last few weeks.
And this is the rule of thumb. When Detroit actually hits against you, it's time to start worrying about the pitcher. This is the rule of thumb. It's the velo drop is worrisome. I mean, I remember was it Verlander? I think Verlander or Scherzer, one of the eminent statesmen, talking about how your velo fluctuates throughout a season, and like that's pretty normal. We don't have a track record with Jones on this one, so it's hard to say what he's looked pretty good up until the last start. So this could be a blip where he just wasn't feeling good for a day, but if it trends, keeps this trend, then yeah, it's problematic.
Yeah, Jared Jones, definitely something we're going to keep an eye on going into his next start here. I think before we get out of here, we need to talk about some hitters because we've been spending a lot of time on pitchers. So I wanted to talk about some of the most added hitters that we haven't got a chance to talk about and hear your guys' thoughts on them. So some of the most added hitters over the last week or so, or just over the last few weeks over on ESPN here. David Fry, the catcher for the Cleveland Guardians. I hear his name floated around a lot. He's also multi-position eligible. He's also first base eligible here too. Is David Fry somebody in a one catcher league that you are looking to acquire here?
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
Eight home runs, 27 RBIs, 4 steals.
I mean, yeah, the numbers. I mean, he's got a 355 average and a 493 OBP.
Yeah.
9.6 barrel rate. I mean, 278 XBA. I mean, everything we're seeing from him. I mean, he's completely locked in right now. Now, when you hop over to his splits, let's see. I mean, he's hitting 417 versus lefties and 305 versus righties. Mm-hmm. So in the day of the platoon, you got to love that. And I said this, I thought the Guardians were going to win the AL Central because they never go away. Somehow they can field a team that looks lackluster on paper, and every single year they are able to get the most out of them, whether that's limiting strikeouts and just putting the bat on the ball. I believe in the organization, the Guardians organization, as far as developing hitting and everything that I'm seeing from Fry. I mean, he looks like the real deal.
I like
Fry. You got to cook him up in your lineup.
His zone contact's pretty low. I wonder if there's going to be some, but I mean, he has an elite walk rate, and his K rate's pretty low. I think there's some strikeouts to come with the zone contact rate that he has. But with that, he's got 17% walk rate. That's amazing. That's a great walk rate. So he's very patient. Yeah, he's a good pickup, and he's getting the plate appearances, 30 over the last 2 weeks, 17 and 13. So that's pretty good.
How about this name, Marty, as the Tigers fan on this show? Matt Verling, who I did pick up in our home league, and he's looked really, really good. Obviously, he had 2 monster games last week, but now Detroit has to play him because he's just been producing. Spencer Torkelson was just optioned, so that's a spot in the lineup now that is open. I know he's mostly in the outfield, but that is somebody else that now opens up playing time for him. Someone else can plug in at first base. Is Matt Verling somebody that you think rest of season has a lot of value, or is he someone that's more you're just picking him up as a kind of a hot streamer, but you expect him to eventually kind of resort back to what we thought he was going into the year?
Yeah, so much like his rolling ex-Woba, it's I've been up and down with Matt Verling all year. I've spent $18 or $20 to acquire him in a 15-team league, and then I've subsequently dropped him a few weeks later because the Detroit Tigers and AJ Hinch was not playing him consistently. And it was actually, and it wasn't something you could actually like point to. There wasn't any rhyme or reason or versus lefties versus righties or whatever it is. He was kind of just sitting because he likes to kind of mix in the lineups. AJ Hinch does. But when I go back to his StatCast page, the barrel percentage is excellent. He is 278 XBA. And I went to that game where he hit 2 home runs, one of them being a walk-off home run. So that was an incredible game to go to on a Sunday afternoon. But the walk percentage is low. I don't know. I can't guarantee his playing time. I mean, Akil Baddoo has been recalled since they sent down Torkelson. Kerry Carpenter has a fractured labrum. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So he's going to be on the shelf for a long time. So there is an opportunity for him to mix in with Gio Urshela at third and to be kind of the fourth outfielder. But I got to see the playing time. But everything else is in line.
Marty, do you think Justin Henry Malloy is going to get regular playing time now that he's been called up?
So there's a couple. First off, it's great to have Henry Malloy called up. I saw his first. He didn't get a hit in his first at bat. I haven't seen since then.
He's had 2 Ks and 3 at bats so far. He's 0 for 3.
Okay, well there you go. So the question of regular playing time, number one, he's not a good defender. There's nowhere to put him. You can kind of put him in the corners, and just right or left field, and just kind of hide him defensively. Is that something you want to do with the guy you just called up? Because you can't bring him up and to DH him. So defensively, he scares me. Split wise, he scares me. So he may, I don't know. He's looking kind of like a platoon bat who would DH, which is kind of weird. I don't know if too many guys coming up where that's kind of the way it looks here. But it's something that we've been waiting. When I say we, Tigers fans have been waiting. I want to see the hit tool. I want to see, if he has that major league, raw power to consistently get over 20 home runs. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad they brought somebody up to fill that big gap that our number 1 draft pick Spencer Torkelson could not do. But I'm not expecting. I don't know. He's kind of like I don't want to say Eloy Jimenez, but I'm trying to think of like a comp for that.
For Torque?
No. Sorry, for Justin Henry Malloy. It's kind of like you kind of got to hide him defensively.
Yeah.
It's so to the playing time, I'm not sure how they're going to fit him in. And if they do, it's going to be at the expense of Yearling. Unless they just put him at first and he just plays first all the time.
I was watching some highlights from Reese Olson's game the other day, and Canna was at first, and he looked pretty awkward out there at first base.
He does look awkward. I agree. He's playing first way too much. They need to get him in, corner outfield.
Yeah. Who else would be their first baseman? Andy Ibanez. Come on, baby. Let's get Andy Ibanez in there.
They're kind of just mixing in and out. This next week or so is going to really tell us, but that's the problem with fantasy. If you wait a week until things shake out, you've already missed out. But yeah, I'm excited for Henry Malloy. I'm not sure of his role moving forward though.
Tigers are shifting players all over the place right now. I actually just looked today at the 2020 MLB draft where Torque went number 1. I obviously can't compare it to all the drafts, but that might be the worst first round in recent memory. If you
Nick
look
Gonzalez,
at
baby, Pittsburgh Pirates stud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but look at the whole first round.
No, I know. Keston Kierstead, Pete Crow Armstrong. Who else was kind of?
Was that the pandemic year one? You're talking about the pandemic year one when they didn't have scouting for the last season on all these players.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll actually pull it up now really quick. But yeah, I remember I was looking at it when I was at the gym today, and I was like, "Oh my god! Like this is." So yeah, it was Torkelson 1, Kierstead 2, Max Meyer 3, who did look good, but has been hampered by injuries. Asa Lacy 4. I liked him, but haven't heard from him.
He's not doing anything.
No. Austin Martin who's now, I
Okay.
believe,
Oh,
with the Twins.
he's in the Twins. Yeah. Where did
Yeah.
the Twins draft him?
No, the Blue Jays did. He was in the Jose Barrios trade.
Okay.
Emerson Hancock
Okay.
with
He's
the
been
Mariners.
okay.
Nick Gonzalez, we just talked about. Robert Hassel, who looked really good, and then he flamed out once he got to the Nationals. Zach Veen, Reed Detmers, Garrett Crochet
Got
has
sent
been
down.
Hey, there he is.
There
Garrett
it is.
Crochet.
yeah,
Cy
Crochet's
Young.
been balling.
Garrett Crochet. Yeah.
Mhm.
Austin Hendrick, Patrick Bailey, Justin Foscue,
Bailey's
Nick
legit. He's a good catcher.
Micah Bell, Ed Howard, Nick York,
Oh, Ed
Bryce
Howard.
Jarvis, Pete Crow Armstrong, Garrett Mitchell. You want to talk about busts so far? Jordan Walker, Cade
Jordan Walker's
Cavalli.
not a bust yet. No. He had a good first year. Dude, imagine this: an outfielder for the Cardinals who has raw skills and who looks pretty good can't figure it out. Man, it sounds like something that happens every year for that organization. Sorry,
Cade
I hate the
Cavalli,
Cardinals.
Carson Tucker, Nick Bitsko, Jared Schuster, Tyler Soderstrom, Aaron Sabato, Austin Wells, and Bobby Miller is the first round.
Bobby Miller.
Bobby Miller. Look at
Bobby
that.
Miller.
The Dodgers do it again.
Bobby Miller got delayed on his return from injury. So I guess delayed another week.
To answer your question, Art, it looks like Gio Urshela may be taking most of the reps at first base for now, which then does put Vierling at third, leading to more at bats for him. But yeah, it's what we call a fluid situation.
The Tigers shuffle.
Yeah.
Urshela becomes pick upable.
Yeah.
Yep.
He does. They need to trade Arenado and put Walker back at third base. Maybe the positional change could have impacted him. We didn't talk about that, but that is true. I think when you saw with Vlad, when they moved him to first base, how much it really helped his game, that he wasn't making the mental errors defensively. So maybe if they move him to third base, maybe Jordan Walker kind of goes back to what we were expecting of him. He also Eddie Buzz, who I don't think I've seen in the chat before. So welcome to the show. How long, in your opinion, before Ben Joyce takes over the closer's role for Carlos Estevez?
As soon as Estevez starts screwing up again, they don't bring him up. Joyce is next in line. I think I drafted him on a few of my draft and holds late just for this very possibility. And they've already started taking some of the safe chances from Estevez and giving them to Luis Garcia, who is a mediocre reliever at best. Joyce is being primed for the role. I think he's. If you need saves, Joyce is going to be a good pickup this weekend in all fab leagues.
I picked up Robert Stevenson going into the year, thinking he would be the guy. But
you weren't alone. There was that 1 or 2 months where he was being drafted like in the 15th round of a 15.
Yeah, like ahead of Estevez.
Yeah, literally ahead of him. Crazy.
Unfortunately, arm troubles got to him. But yeah, Ben Joyce looks like he should be at this point. I definitely think he's a player to make sure you look at, because he probably will be the closer. I would guess with Estevez's track record that I would be shocked by the end of the month if Joyce was the closer over in Anaheim. And Eddie, man, we appreciate you, man. He just subscribed, so that's awesome.
Hey.
Appreciate you checking out and hanging with us.
Tell your friends.
He said, me too, and that hurt. I had Stevenson in all 5 of his leagues, and with how he was with Tampa Bay last year, like he looked like he was going to be one of those closers you could grab at the end of your drafts and have a real stud. So it's very frustrating. He's had a lot of arm trouble, so that's the only reason why he can't be out there for us and are helping our fantasy teams.
I know that the conventional wisdom with closers was always draft role and not skill, but I feel like over the years that's kind of changing with how often they're willing to get rid of a closer, because I was all in on Carlos Estevez because he was the closer. I didn't think he was good. I know he's not good, But I was hoping he'd last at least half the season, and it looks like we're almost there.
Yeah, well, it's pretty wild. I think that sooner rather than later, Estevez will be gone, though. But
I
on that
got
note,
two
guys,
things I want to bring up real quick
yes.
before we go. Number one is Nolan Arenado done?
Is Paul Goldschmidt done?
I don't think.
Both...
I that's a good question. I guess. I have Arenado in a few places. Unfortunately, one of them's a gladiator, so can't do anything about that. But the bat speed is just it's so down. He's not making hard contact. He's the strikeout rate's still 16.6, so that looks good. But he's not walking. But he's barreling the ball 2.8% of the time. It's just I don't know. I don't know what it looks like he is. I don't know. Is he droppable in a 12-team league?
If I remember correctly with Arenado, I'm trying to pull it up really quick, but isn't he a very heavy pull hitter? And
yeah, for his power, yeah, for the most part.
I mean, he's over 40% on his pull rate, especially since he's coming to St. Louis. Yeah.
Yeah, he really did in 2022.
Yeah, because his pull rate is down at least a little bit from the last couple of years, but not anything crazy. But his weak contact is up to nearly 4%, which is the highest it's actually been in his entire career. And he's really struggling against the fastball, which I think is the biggest sign. He's a -4 run value, which is miserable. A 275 expected batting average against the fastball this year with only a 430 slug. So
his hard hit rate's down. His max EV is down 2.5 miles per hour from last season and where he'd been the last few seasons. He might be hurt. He might be a little bit injured, or he could just be old. One of the two. But I think I would say this is a pretty steep drop. Probably a little hurt.
Is he droppable in a 12-team league?
No.
Would you drop him?
For who?
I don't know. Art.
That's the question. Like
no,
I don't.
Matt Vierling.
No, I wouldn't drop him for Matt Vierling.
Okay.
No, I would. I just think Arenado has too much track record.
Vientos, who's third base eligible as well. Mark Vientos.
Yep.
Maybe.
I think I'm keeping Arenado still.
He still has a 258 batting average with 5 home runs. I mean, he's going to play every day. Well, let me ask you this before we get out of here. Rest of season projections by Steamer have him hitting 15 more home runs, he would end with 20 home runs. Will Nolan Arenado hit more or less? 20.5, taking the over or under?
Under
for me as well.
So we think he's finishing with like 17, 18?
I bet Vientos has 20 home runs this season. He's at 5 already. Not that I'm seeing that. He's already at 5.
He's
tied with Arenado.
What was your other question, Marty?
There was another guy I was trying to remember who I think may be droppable, but his name escapes me.
Are we taking Jeffrey Springs or Jason Dominguez to stash? I think I'm stashing Springs.
Oh, actually, that's great that you brought that up because we talked about that last week with Jason Dominguez, and I questioned whether or not he'll be ready to play in the outfield. And his first rehab assignment, he was playing center field. So
that's good.
Don't worry about anything that I had to say. He looks like if he is going to be called up, he'll be their 4th outfielder, maybe their 3rd outfielder. And I was worried about him having the DH because of his arm. And it looks like that's not a problem.
What do we got for Jeffrey Springs' timetable? I didn't know he was near a return.
Yeah, I think he's
getting closer. Yeah. Or did you not notice that he was Kevin Lee picked him up and stashed him this past week?
I didn't.
Yeah, so, he's coming. He's projected. They don't have a.
He's
I didn't
doing
see
long
the actual.
toss.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. Joe Adele is the Is it over?
Oh, he's hitting like
Oh, it's over.
150. Yeah. Unless you really need power, he's hitting home runs, but he's hitting like 150.
You mentioned Joe Adele, and then everything just went crazy on the
I heard that. Yeah,
static
the
and everything.
audio. He's
That's not a
bringing down
sigh. I don't know
everything.
what it is. There was a tweet from Brendan Tuma that he put out. I have to actually read this to give you the context of how bad he's been. Eddie does mention that CBS has Springs coming back June 25th.
Okay.
As is projected. So about another 3 weeks. So I want to make sure I'm giving credit to Tuma for this one. So do you guys know how bad Joe Adele has been?
How bad?
How bad is he?
Well, if I had a faster computer, I would have already had the answer by now. But my computer is very slow. Joe Adele is so bad. It's so bad.
Jeffrey Springs is picked up in all of my leagues already, so that's awesome.
Everybody was already on that stash, man. He was going to be the Cy Young frontrunner before he got hurt. You know how good he was?
Yeah.
Okay, before we get out of here, Joe Adele has been so bad that his past 26 plate appearances, 16 strikeouts, a .38 batting average.
Jeez.
A .38 batting average and 16 Ks over 26 PAs.
Oh, and I did see his tweet because the one hit and I was him, pinch hit grand slam, which of course in my head-to-head daily league I benched Adele to only see the next morning that he on my bench hit a grand slam. It's just,
yep.
Damn it.
Well, Joe Adele, it's time to say bye-bye because I think the experiment is over there. But thank you guys so much for hanging with us tonight. If you guys enjoy the show and you're on YouTube, please make sure you guys are subscribed, hit the notification bell so you never miss when we go live. And if you have questions you want to bring in the chat, make sure you guys hop in. We usually go live here Sundays around 8 p.m. Eastern time. I would say most of the time. Sometimes it's subject to change based on the schedule, but catch us usually Sunday evenings and bring your questions. If you're on the podcast version, then we appreciate you guys as well. Make sure you guys are leaving a 5-star review and you guys are make sure that you are subscribed where any podcasts are found. So for a little cheesecake from Marty Party, I'm D Mendy. We're going to make like a bread truck and we're going to haul these buns. Catch you guys next week.